Right now, somewhere in your body, something is quietly going wrong. Not because you are sick, not because you are injured, because you are alone. And the strange part is that your body treats both of those things, injury and isolation, as almost the same emergency, the same ancient alarm, the same chemical signal screaming that something needs to change before it kills you. You've probably heard that loneliness is bad for you. You've probably heard it framed as a mental health issue, a mood, a feeling you push through. But what if loneliness isn't a feeling at all? What if it's a biological warning system so old it predates language, predates fire, predates the first human footprint pressed into the mud of a riverbank? Here's what science is beginning to understand. Loneliness physically hurts because it was designed to physically hurt. Go back roughly 2 million years. Your ancestor is standing at the edge of a savanna. The sun is going down. The trees are getting dark. And they are alone. This is not a metaphor. This is a death sentence. Every predator on that landscape knew that a single human, separated from the group, was vulnerable. No warning calls. No coordinated defense. No one to pull them out if a predator lunged. Alone meant exposed. And exposed meant eaten. So your ancestor's body developed a response, a pain signal, triggered not by a wound, but by separation. The body had no way to shout, "Go find your people," but it could make isolation feel like fire under the skin. It could hijack sleep, spike stress hormones, and flood the nervous system with low-grade dread that made rest impossible until you returned to safety, until you returned to others. That system is still inside you. It never left. And it has no idea you live in an apartment with a phone and a food delivery app. John Cacioppo spent decades studying what loneliness does to the human body. He was a neuroscientist at the University of Chicago and arguably the world's leading researcher on the biology of social pain. What he found rewrote the way scientists understood human connection. Loneliness, Cacioppo argued, is not depression. It is not shyness. It is not introversion. It is a distinct biological state, measurable in the blood, visible in brain scans, traceable through the immune system, and it operates on a timeline that has nothing to do with how you feel on the surface. You can feel lonely in a crowded room. You can feel completely at peace on a solo hiking trail, because what your body is measuring isn't proximity to other humans. It's the perceived quality of your connection, the feeling of being known, of being held in someone else's mind. When that signal drops below a threshold, your nervous system recognizes as safe, the alarm goes off. And here is where it gets uncomfortable. Cacioppo's research found that chronically lonely people have elevated levels of cortisol, the stress hormone your body releases when it thinks you're in danger. Not danger like an angry email from your boss. Danger like you are about to be eaten. The kind of cortisol spike that, when sustained over months and years, damages the cardiovascular system, disrupts sleep architecture, impairs immune function, and accelerates cellular aging. Lonely people get sick more often. They recover more slowly. They are statistically more likely to die from heart disease, cancer, and infection than people who report strong social bonds. The effect size is staggering. Julianne Holt-Lundstad, a researcher at Brigham Young University, analyzed data from 148 studies covering more than 300,000 people and concluded that social isolation increases the risk of early death by roughly 26%. The risk is comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It outpaces obesity. It outpaces physical inactivity. That number sits with you for a second. 26%. Not because you lack willpower, not because you made bad choices, because an ancient alarm system built to keep your ancestors alive on a dark savanna is misfiring in a world it was never designed for. And here is where the story gets stranger. When Cacioppo and his colleagues looked at what loneliness actually does inside the brain, they found something they did not expect. Lonely brains are hypervigilant, not just stressed. Actively scanning, the threat detection network, a cluster of regions deep in the brain, including the amygdala, runs hotter in isolated individuals. It picks up social threats faster. It misreads neutral faces as hostile more often. It biases the entire perceptual system towards seeing rejection, criticism, and danger in ambiguous situations. Your brain, running lonely, is a different brain. It notices the tone in a message more sharply. It lingers on the pauses in a conversation. It reads the way someone looked away as a judgment. And this is not weakness. This is ancient software doing exactly what it was designed to do, scanning the environment for signs of further rejection, because further rejection in the ancestral world could mean expulsion from the group. And expulsion from the group, as established, meant death. The cruel irony is this: the very state of loneliness makes connection harder to achieve. Because a hypervigilant, threat-scanning brain does not relax into conversation. It monitors, it interprets, it pulls back. The loneliness creates behavior that deepens the loneliness. Cacioppo called this the loneliness loop. And once you see it, you start recognizing it everywhere. There is a man sitting across from you at a dinner party. He arrived alone. He laughs a little too quickly. He checks his phone between sentences. He deflects questions about himself with a joke. You probably read him as nervous, or standoffish, or slightly odd. What you might not know is that his nervous system is running a 2-million-year-old survival scan on everyone in that room. That every smile he tries to return is passing through a brain filter primed for threat. That the effort required for him to be there, present and open, is enormous, because his biology is quietly, constantly whispering, "Careful, they might not keep you." Now consider this. A study from the English Longitudinal Study of Aging found that loneliness can predict cognitive decline better than nearly any other lifestyle factor. Lonely older adults show faster deterioration in memory and executive function than their socially connected peers. The brain, it seems, stays sharper when it has someone to model, to predict, to engage with. Social interaction is cognitive exercise, and without it, something essential quietly dims. You were built for other people. Not in a poetic sense, in a structural sense. Your immune system is calibrated to perform differently when others are near. Stephen Cole at UCLA discovered that the white blood cells of chronically lonely people behave differently at the gene expression level. They upregulate inflammatory genes and downregulate antiviral genes. The body, sensing isolation, prepares for wounds rather than infections. Because in the ancestral world, alone meant you were more likely to be physically attacked than to catch a virus from a stranger. Read that sentence again. Your immune system shifts its defensive posture based on how connected you feel. The cells that protect you are listening to your social life. And yet, loneliness has never been more common. A 2018 survey by Cigna found that 46% of Americans reported sometimes or always feeling alone. 47% felt their relationships were not meaningful. 27% said they rarely or never felt understood. These numbers have trended upward for decades. Researchers debate the causes: screen time, urban isolation, declining community institutions, longer working hours, the erosion of third places where people gather without agenda. But the pattern is consistent across age groups, income levels, and geographies. We are living in the most connected technological moment in human history, surrounded by a species that has never been lonelier. There is something almost darkly funny about that, if you let yourself see it clearly. Every time you post something and wait for the response, your nervous system is running a version of the same check your ancestor ran when they looked around the fire to see if the group was still there. Every time you leave a message unread and feel that small hollow drop in your chest, that is an ancient alarm misinterpreting a notification. Your brain cannot tell the difference between being ignored by your friend and being excluded from the hunting party. The stakes your nervous system assigns to both are the same. So what does this mean for you? It means the ache is not weakness. It is signal. Old, insistent, biologically valid signal that something your body genuinely needs is missing. And the answer, the deeply unsexy, difficult, completely unavoidable answer, is not a productivity hack or an app or a supplement. It is actual human contact, repeated exposure to people who know you, the experience of being held in someone else's mind across time. Holt Lundstad's research suggests that even perceived social connection, the feeling that others would be there if needed, even when they are not present, provides measurable biological protection. The nervous system responds not just to contact, but to the belief that contact is possible, that you are embedded in a network, that someone is thinking about you. Your ancestors understood something without ever needing to say it. You do not survive alone, not because you are weak, because survival was never designed to be a solo activity. The group was the technology. Connection was the adaptation. And every time you feel the pull towards someone, the urge to call, to show up, to say the thing you've been sitting on for weeks, that is 2 million years of evolution asking you to remember what you are. You are not a lone animal. Tonight, when you feel that pull, you'll know it has a name. And it has been quietly keeping your species alive for longer than you can imagine.